Okay, two
All right,
participants.
Okay. All right. Can you see me, hear me? Okay,
Yes.
here we go.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so there is a bit of a delay here. I don't see you.
Oh, bats, I'm here.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, here we go. So, hi, everybody. This is Michelle, and we are doing day 20 of 30. And we are here with George, a really good friend of mine who is a really good healer. And he's here to help you guys and teach you and help you with accessing some healing. So, hi, Lori. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Glad that you guys are showing up. So in honor of my guest, I've decided that I'm going to have a little fun tonight. So here we go.
Whoops, hello.
Here we go. All right. All right. So, George.
Yes.
How are you doing today?
I'm okay. Can you see and hear me?
Oh, I can see you just fabulously.
Wonderful. Can the fans out there in radio land, or that's Facebook land?
Yeah, they're starting to log on now.
Hooray for our side.
I don't know if you can see that or not, but
it's less important.
All right. So what do you think about the glasses?
They're different.
that's all you have to say about it. All right. So you guys, this is a special treat, you guys, today. We have George. And yeah, in honor of my special guest, I decided to wear the bling. So, you know, a little happiness, a little share in the cheer.
Happy is good. I like happy.
So actually, I don't know if you can see this or not, but it says
Mother of the
bride.
Oh, the mother of the bride. There you are.
Yeah, my daughter's getting married.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, she's getting married. So anyways.
My daughter's married and I have a grandbaby.
All right. So George, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're about.
Okay. I started out as a child. I couldn't even walk, much less speak English. But after a couple of years, I have English-speaking parents, and I'm fully ambulatory now. I can walk on my own hind legs.
That's awesome. That's good.
The way I went kind of full-time woo-woo several years ago, well, maybe 10 years ago. I had a friend who introduced me to matrix energetics. He said, "You got any problems?" I said, "Yeah, I've got acid reflux the last few days. Morning, it's just really bad." He said, "Okay, stand over here." Got behind me, put a finger here and a finger here. Didn't say anything. I said, "Okay, something's supposed to happen." And then a little bit later, he says, "Okay, see what happens." Well, the next morning it was gone. It didn't come back the next day. It didn't come back the next day. It didn't come back the next day. I should look into this. So I had a seminar, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, I'm now a certified matrix energetic practitioner. I've been to, I don't know, 6 or 7, how many seminars. And I had wizard training, which is really cool. And also a certified hypnotist, Ray Hodges, who some of you guys know, if you know some of the in the hypnotist community.
So can you hypnotize me not to wear these crazy glasses?
Yes. Ready? And sleep. Okay, now wake up and take off the glasses. See there? It works.
There it goes.
I'm a trained professional. I'm trained. Weeks of training.
Awesome. All right. So
anyway, and so then I've since learned focused mind healing, laying on of hands, EFT, the original EFT, which is kind of convoluted, and then fast EFT, and then my own personal proprietary stuff, which anybody can learn, the ACT process, which I call the affirmation cementing technique. And you talked a little bit earlier today about the idea of people having various and sundry problems, one of them, which is money, finances. We all would like to have more money. What would you do with it? I would circulate it. That's what money's for. But could I get it first before it goes out? It's outcome, income. Anyway, so I do all those things and been doing it for about, got certified, I think, in 2011.
So George, a good portion of my audience has no idea what you're talking about. So
that's why you're here. And that's why they can ask questions and I can answer. What?
Yeah, you're going to have to kind of dumb it down a little. So,
okay.
So let's do one at a time and kind of go a little slow.
I am a little excited, I admit it.
Hey, me too, you know. I think I'm going to put the glasses back on while you're talking because yeah. So go ahead.
Okay.
So let's start with let's start with this whole quantum thing.
With the what?
The quantum thing.
Yeah. Okay. Newtonian physics we learned in high school. If I pick up my cell phone and I let it go, everybody knows what's going to happen because it's the law of gravity, right? And Newtonian physics works. There's also quantum physics, which is different. And when we're in the realm of the micro, miniature, subatomic level, things are different. A wave can become a particle can become a wave. Some of you have seen the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? Some of you have seen the video of not Dr. Quantum. Anyway, the guy with the double slit experiment. Is that his name, Dr. Quantum?
Yeah, Dr. Quantum.
Yeah. The double slit experiments, where in this teeny tiny, you have to get a microscope to look. You look and, okay, it's a wave. Oh, no, it's a particle. Wait a minute. I'd like to see a wave. Okay, here's a wave. Well, I believe in particles, so I'll look through the microscope and there it is. See, it's a particle. The observer effect, meaning that we, as conscious sentient beings, we people who think, okay, we can influence and in fact appear to create, or actually what we do is resonate with, so therefore we can see it, a change in stuff. Some of you read Lynn McTaggart's books, not the Vortex. Anyway, Lynn McTaggart, again, from What the Bleep or What's the Secret. But anyway, there's information's available if you go to look for it. But the short version is, we think of healing as taking time. I cut my finger, I put a Band-Aid on, a couple of weeks later, okay, it's healed. In the quantum, we just transform. What do you mean? Cut my finger, time travel, and there's no cut. Wait a minute, are you saying you can do that stuff? I am saying that you've read it, you've heard about it. All things are possible. Doesn't mean all things are likely or probable, but all things are possible.
Okay. We lost your voice.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there it is.
I'm better now. Yes.
Yeah, you're better now.
Step away from the microphone. Okay.
Okay, so we're kind of so you're saying that you can kind of super speed up the healing process?
We could just transform. Think of analog versus digital. In other words, if I got an analog watch, it moves one at a time and I see the little numbers on it. But if I go to digital, it just changes every second. It's a new time.
Okay, so what about emotional healing?
What about what?
So I've been doing this series. Okay, I can't hear you again.
Well, it's because I wasn't talking.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
All right, so I've been doing this series, 30 Days to Spiritual Bliss. And one of the things that I was talking about was that, you've got to heal emotionally before you can like really grow spiritually. Because if you're carrying around your baggage, you're just a bag full of crap that's trying to act spiritual. So basically, all I'm saying is that you gotta heal the mind, and a lot of that's emotional trauma, emotional issues from the past, and a lot of times people have a hard time getting over it. It's like they've been hurt really bad by people. So any suggestions on what they can do so they can move on and start becoming enlightened?
Well, the understanding that you've just alluded to is that from the Beatles movie Yellow Submarine, it's all in the mind. Mind is what's important. And yes, we're physical beings. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience. I'm consciousness in this meat suit, which at some point I'll leave. But the point of it is, at the moment, we are so much influenced by unconscious beliefs, subconscious programming from when we're children, beliefs that we have, which a belief is a thought we keep on thinking. So we can change our minds over time and believe a new thing. Brian Tracy says, tell yourself, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, over and over. Louise Hay said, look in the mirror, look at that beautiful person, say, I love you, and call yourself by name, doing those things. But to get back to addressing the idea that we have to change internally, because we can help people. We have, and here's the real news. I'll go ahead and break it to you now.
Uh-oh.
You can't be healed unless you're willing to accept it.
Well, that's true.
It's true. That's true. By willing to accept it, I mean really, really, for reals, really, really. You have to understand that you and I, Michelle, and your viewers and so forth, are not in charge of everything. Really? Oh, I thought I was. No, that's your ego. Bless its heart. Okay. You can call it scruffy or whatever you want to, but there's more to you. There's
I like to
more
call
to
mine
you.
glitter.
What?
I like to call mine glitter.
There you go. Call it glitter, call it scruffy, perky, whatever you want to call it. It's you're a fan of Dr. Hawkins, aren't you? But anyway, the point of it is we can change. And when we change our thoughts, we change our body. Maybe not instantly, but you can over time become healthier, wealthier, happier, have better relationships. And some of it, if it happens at the quantum level, it happens fast. And then you see the results fall into place like dominoes. Or you can have an instant healing, which happens.
So I hear what you're saying, and you're talking in a very what do you call it?
Maybe esoteric or woo, but it's
more advanced terminology. There's so when I'm dealing with clients, they kind of like say, but how? Like, give me
exactly.
like step by step. Like, tell me what exactly I need to do.
Exactly.
So you and I were talking earlier when we were trying to do this whole like pretend figure this out how to do the video chat thing. You were like doing these tap things and everything. Can you kind of like show us?
Absolutely, because an easy way for the novice, the person who's out. Well, you read all the Hawkins books, and you've been to seminars and all this kind. Anybody can do that. However, this very cool technology has been given to us by Gary Craig initially, and then Robert E. Smith, and we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Okay, Louise Hay, Gary Craig, Robert Smith. The energy meridians described in acupuncture. Okay, bladder, gallbladder, stomach, cardio, sacral, kidneys, large and small intestine, lungs. What we found is that by tapping on these, we can move to where that unconscious subconscious is and impact it and revise that basics where at least 20% of our activities come from. We're on autopilot so much.
Okay, so hold on. I want to ask you some questions about that. Okay, sure. So are you talking about like acupressure?
No. It's as close to acupuncture, acupressure, and then just tapping, just this. That's all.
You were talking about liver and stuff like that. Like my liver's way down here. So explain.
But the energy meridians in the body.
That's what I'm asking.
There's an energy meridian, okay, for the liver, which is someplace. I don't know. I'm not an acupuncture specialist. But the bladder, there's an energy meridian that runs through your body, that goes to your bladder, that we can impact just by tapping here. That's crazy. It's woo-woo. Hey, I'll tell you a quick story. I drive a 4-cylinder car. Now, do the spark plugs fire 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3? What order do they fire in? I don't know. Is it important? Yes. They have to fire in the right order or the car won't go. Do I worry about it? No. I trust the engineers to have taken care of all that. I start the ignition, drive safely, and off I go.
Okay.
So how is the domain of the universe?
3, 4, is that how you do it?
You tap. The original is somewhere between around 7 times. And with practice, you know how often to tap. You can tap here. That's 1. That's bladder. Here.
That's bladder.
Gallbladder over here. And whether you remember this or not is less important to remember the spot outside of the edge. This bone around here.
Is it on both sides or just one side?
Either or both.
Okay. So right there. Got it.
And then under the eye.
Under the eye.
Stomach, especially if stomach problems. Either or both. You want to get the corpus callosum, both sides of the hemispheres of the brain, you go this way. And then we pass on cranial and go under the collarbone, just under the collarbone. Okay, tap here.
Okay.
Collarbone.
Got it.
And then the process. And the next one is squeeze the wrist twice. Take a big breath, cleansing breath, blow it out and say peace. And I can take you through a round of that for folks. Let's just say, for example, okay?
Okay.
Someone's got a headache, okay?
All
right. I release and let go of this headache pain. It's our release and let go. You can learn more about this on the website, www.iwantjoy.com. I release and let go of the headache pain. I release it and I let it go of this headache pain.
And you're doing it right there on the gallbladder one?
It's on all of them. I let it go.
Oh, okay.
Because the body's all you have one body, many members. I let it go. I release it and I let it go. It's safe to let it go. And
what's the one after the
peace? Here, on the eye.
And then, oh yeah.
Under the collarbone.
Peace. Okay, got it.
All right. Now I'm going fast because I am excited. I'll admit it. So let's just take a nice broad, covers everything, no concerns about anything, big deal. Okay. Like for example.
Hey Deborah, how you doing? Hey Mom, how are you doing? Teresa, hey, you joined us tonight. Just saying hi to a few people that I know, Lori. Everybody else, I really appreciate you guys joining us. This is George, and he's talking about accessing healing, and he was showing us a technique that you can use for tapping, and he's talking about accessing the meridians. Now, if you guys don't know about that, I'm sure you're familiar with like chakras. Chakras are energy portals in your body. So the meridians are different points in your body where you have, like, it was really confusing to me years ago. I used to date an acupuncturist, and he was like, yeah, you need to tap on your liver. And I was like, or gallbladder. And I'm sitting here going, what? My gallbladder's down here. And he would like grab parts of my ankle and stuff like that and say, okay, this is going to fix your spleen. And so I know it's kind of weird, but oddly enough, it works really well. I found that there's a point on your foot that if you get a really bad headache, you can press on it. And but he's showing us what they call, I think it's called EFT. It's tapping, and it's focused in on this area right here. And this can help with like headaches and other issues. So thank you for showing us that, George. So what about, can tapping be used for emotional things? Like,
Absolutely.
Let's say hypothetically I'm depressed, or I'm having,
Absolutely.
Anxiety is a big issue for a lot of people. So like, can it be used for that?
What was the last one?
Anxiety.
Sure. Okay. And for anybody that's having anxiety, let's use that as an example. And in 5 minutes, we'll walk through everything, and you folks out there in Facebook land will feel the physical changes in your body. So tap along with me and say what I say. I release and let go of the feelings of anxiety. I release and let go of worry and concern and anxiety. I just let them go. I've held on to them long enough. Anxiety, anxiousness, worry, concern. I just let that stuff go. I let it go. I let it go on purpose. I release and let go of all anxiety, worry, and concern. I just let it go. It's safe to let it go. Big breath. Say peace.
So, some of the things that I like to do when I'm working with people, obviously hypnosis works really well for anxiety, but I teach meditation, and what I've found personally is when I light incense and I light a candle and I put on some music and I dim the lights, and we just kind of access all the senses, and it seems to be easier for them to concentrate. I'll even put some like binaural beats in the background, and I find that people really, it helps with easing that. How do you feel about all that?
What works. What I tell my clients is do what resonates with you. Binaural beats are wonderful. Holosync technology I used years ago to basically reframe the way I thought. A Course in Miracles. You want to do it intellectually. And there's a number of things. Hypnosis is obvious work because, as you know, and any hypnotists are watching, is we bypass the X factor. my vocabulary just left me. But the point being, what works. And meditating, yes, absolutely. I've got a meditation which I offer free on the website that has a alpha brainwave entraining sound in the background, which is 8 to 12 cycles per second. Jose Silva mind control, Silva method. You can learn about that, the alpha mind, beta, alpha, and so forth. But yeah, meditation, soft lights, quiet music that you like, all the things that help an individual reach more relaxed state, less stressed state. Then as we relax, we're more open. The best thing, some of your viewers there have heard of Neville Goddard. And the way that manifest, he recommends, same thing Jesus said, but I'll say it in different words, is at that point, just before you go to sleep, right there between waking and consciousness and unconsciousness, there's a window of opportunity where you can imagine yourself surrounded by the conditions you want to produce, to quote Wayne Dyer, but you go into a state and you feel how it would feel to already have what you have. Focus on that and then let that go. And then as you sleep all night, your unconscious is, we'll work this out. Let's see, what shall I do? And you have dreams about it and so forth and so on. And it will work out for you. Does that make sense?
All right. So that's awesome. What do you feel that through your experience, because I know you do several different types of things, what do you feel is one of the best ways to heal emotionally for you? Like when you through your experience and what you've experienced with your clients, because I know like you work at a lot of psychic fairs and you do the what's the psychic fair that you work at all the time?
Well, we'll be at Centerpoint on Sunday. We'll be at Marva's the first Saturday of the month. We're in San Antonio on June 3rd. We'll be in Dickinson it's all on the website, iwantjoy.com, by the way. But anyway, as far as me, I work on me, okay? Because strangely enough, I have problems too, just like other normal people. I mean, you have all this knowledge and you still have problems.
Oh my God, George, I can't believe it. You're actually normal?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. But the point is, I had a situation. I had a serious health concern. Okay. And I use Louise's book. If I had it here, I'll hold it up. You Can Heal Your Life, which is how we started. A lot of people have seen that book, and her affirmations. And I use this as an affirmation cementing technique to pick the affirmations for the problems. Well, I happen to have an awesome individual who I go to for advice on spiritual matters and answers to things that aren't available through the five senses. And I tapped on it. I said, okay,
so what did Missy say?
Huh?
So what did Missy say?
Basically, it was me letting go of my need to be in charge. I release and let go of me needing to be in charge, of me thinking I'm right. I might be right, but I don't need to be right. I can let that go. And it was a very emotional situation. And ta-da, within a few hours, this very serious problem, the symptoms disappeared and then went away. But the point of it is, some of the very powerful things we can do is let go, release and let go of the need to be right. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be right, but the need to be right, the need to be in charge, that ego stuff. The ego says, I want to be in first place. I want to have all the accolades. I want everyone to love me. I want to be that's all well and good. And the ego is not a terrible thing we should kill, which is a mistaken teaching. But the point of it is, let go of that need to be in charge.
I've found that I have that tendency. And
you're human too?
Yeah, can you believe that? And I've just over time, I've kind of chosen to like let other people have it, like I'll, if there's somebody's trying to place fault somewhere, I'll go, it's my fault. I'll just jump in and say it's my fault because somebody needed to place the blame somewhere. So I just took it and said, like, I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. Like if you need to place blame somewhere, I'll take it. And because it doesn't affect me whatsoever. I mean, I just realized that the person is having an issue and they have to place blame somewhere. So I'm just like, hey, I'll do it. And it's really kind of funny because, I do that a lot with like my brother-in-law, like who did this, blah, 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 or something, blah, 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 and he'll start like going off on this tangent or something. And I'll go, oh, it's my fault. And usually like when I do that, he just kind of lets it go. And that way he's not, he's not going to go on a rampage, on somebody else. And, it's no big deal. But I've chosen to, not let that kind of stuff really bother me. Hey, Michael, you just joining in? So anyways, I don't feel the need to have to be right. In fact, I'll let somebody else be right before I'm right because it's just not necessary to me because I understand what's really going on. I see the bigger picture. So
I used to think that I'd let go of that stuff. I used to think that I knew stuff that I'm already surrendered to God. I've already taken care of all that. Yeah, to some degree. I'll give you another example. It was maybe, let's say 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, Christmas morning, I was hit with the most profound sadness. And I'm a divorced person. I've had plenty of reasons to be sad, but this was no physical, no one was dying, but profound sadness drove me to my knees. And I'm saying, what in the world? Well, this too shall pass. And I got over it. But I asked Missy, what was that about? She says, well, it was stuff that needed to be healed. And you weren't ready to let it be healed until then. And so you let it come up to be healed. It came up to be healed. You got rid of it. Now you move on.
Did you figure out what it was?
Yeah, sadness. And the thing of it,
where the sadness was coming from, though.
Yeah. From the past. See, this is the deal. And this is when I work with my clients to say, I have no interest what caused this trauma, why you're afraid of cats, or why you're every time you have these panic attacks or whatever. What happened to you is none of my business. Let's just fix it. Let's just diminish the emotional charges. On my YouTube channel, I talk about what we do in time travel. This, if you can see my hand over here, is, let's see, that would be birth. If it's on your left, and death is somewhere over there. Does that make sense? So there's a graph. So we have trauma, big trauma, some trauma. And what we do with the time travel, which is one of the techniques in matrix energetics, is we go back through time, and just the angels, is for lack of a longer explanation, the angels diminish those emotional charges. So no loss of memory, but that emotional charge that, well, someone was mean to me when I'm 6, and every time I'm in this certain circumstance, it triggers that. That's diminished. And now instead of going, and panicking, I go, oh yeah, quite a difference. And in hypnosis, you've had, clients, you can do this with hypnosis.
I do timeline therapy a lot. I find that it works really well. It actually works really well. It's probably one of the most profound ways of doing hypnosis, because it works really, really well. So I do the same thing. Sometimes, a client will come to me and they don't really understand what it is, and they'll say, I just need to get to the bottom of this. I need to know why I'm like this. I need to know why. I mean, I don't understand why all of a sudden I developed this fear of heights. I've never been afraid of heights. I just need to get to the bottom of it and know why. And I'm like, why do we need to know why? I said, okay, look. And they're like, okay, but I want to do regression, a past life regression, to find out if I fell off a building or something. And I'm like, I said, why do you need to know? Okay, look, here, I'm going to read you real quick. Boom. Okay. You jumped off a building, this and that, you were burned at the stake, this and that. Okay, there you go. There's your answer. And they just bust out laughing, okay. And I'm like, I mean, really, seriously, you can come up with any answer you want. It really doesn't matter. Does that answer actually fix the problem? The problem is now. It's not in your past life. It's not in your child life.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. We have a winner.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's you've got to say, okay, I'm not going to hold on to this anymore and let it go. And it's, I'm very in your face, to the point. This is it, here's how we do it. Okay. So let's get moving here. And of course, add a little humor here and there. And I, laugh and tell really funny stories. At least I think they're funny. So there you go. And, and I try to teach people that they can have fun. They can have life. They can breathe and enjoy the world and experience, and, stop. Who cares about the freaking past? How does it matter? And nothing matters except for right now.
But we've been taught, and we've been trained, and we've been conditioned that we need to find out what's the root cause. The root cause was you were born. Okay. The root cause, you decided to become a sentient being here on the free will planet. Okay. You got into a body. Okay. That's the reason you have problems. And then you had experiences since then. Mm-hmm. But absolutely. And of course, the huge teaching from Faster EFT is, where are you? You're now. Now, can you go back and think of something that really bad that happened to you and focus on that and feel bad? Of course. But you can also remember when something really good happened. Remember a time you had fun. Yeah, you can do that in your own mind. People can do it right now. Remember some time that was really fun. Christmas morning, birthday party, summer camp. Oh yeah, the time. Oh yeah. Doesn't that feel good? Yeah, it does. And that's now. Did you go there? Did you time travel? No, I just went there in my mind. You can do that anytime you want to. But we habitually, unfortunately, fall back to our programming, fall back to that's negative. I've watched the news, stop doing that. But there's plenty of things to complain about. There's plenty of things that are wrong. Seek and you'll find doesn't just work for the good stuff.
Oh, no, absolutely. It works for the bad stuff too. It's, if you seek out trouble, if you seek out worry, if you seek out pain, you're going to find it. I mean, it's going to come running to you. You know what I'm saying?
And the thing of it is, people don't do it consciously. They don't do it consciously. You're not doing it consciously. You're not making an effort to go feel bad and think that you're a victim. But we habituate ways of being and ways of thinking.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I say, George, a lot is that you were not born with these problems. You were actually born perfect and pure. And all of this stuff that's happened to you, all this pain, this anxiety, this depression, these things that are holding you back, they were learned. Okay. You learned how to be insecure. You learned how to be antisocial. You learned how to feel pain. You learned how to get depressed. All these things are things that you learned. And so if something can be learned, because you weren't born that way, you were born perfect and beautiful and spiritual and pure. And so like, if you can learn that, then you can unlearn it as well. So what do you think about that?
Absolutely. A belief is a thought you keep on thinking. If you don't have the time, wherewithal, finances, or whatever to work with someone who understands how to help you change, then you can change by choosing to. It's a little harder. It's a lot of work. Okay. I work my tail feathers off. People say, well, easy for you to say. No, it's not. I work my tail feathers off to get her. But the point of it is, as we change what we think, we change what we believe. Our behavior is based on what we believe. And so the behavior changes. Again, Brian Tracy told me, tell yourself, I like myself. Well, but I really don't. I'm kind of a jerk. Well, start telling yourself over and over again, I like myself. I like myself. I love my work. I am the best. I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. You will begin to think, and then your behavior will change to reflect this new way of thinking, because a belief is a thought you keep on thinking, from Abraham Hicks. A lot of people have heard of them. The point being, change what you think, change how you behave, change the consequences of your behavior, and everything always works out for me. Or you can say, everything always works out for me. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it's going to. Life is a real roller coaster ride, but everything always works out for me. It always works out for me.
Yeah. But the thing is, George, is that a lot of people don't know how to change those thoughts. And so what I suggest is for them to analyze the thought and ask themselves if this is a true statement. Because I mean, I'll give you an example of, so I break down the thoughts. Like I tell them like, okay, I want to know every negative thought you have. So I have them journal and break it down and give it to me. So we go through it. Like one of the common ones is lack of self-worth or undeserving of love. Okay. That's actually one of the most common ones. I don't deserve love. Now, is there anybody in this world that doesn't deserve love? I mean, I usually ask the question like, if a serial killer or a rapist or somebody really bad or a criminal or somebody who, steals cars, do they deserve love? And typically most everybody will say yes. I've only had one person say no. And I was kind of shocked. I didn't know what to say at that point. But in general, everybody deserves love. And I asked one client, I said, okay, but why would a serial killer deserve love? And she goes, because love could heal them and maybe they'll change. And maybe they won't be a serial killer because the reason hurt people. So if that person's hurting people because they were hurt, maybe if they were loved and they wouldn't hurt so much anymore and they wouldn't hurt people. And I said, okay, think about what you're saying. So a serial killer deserves love. So why are you the only person in this whole entire world and this whole entire universe doesn't deserve love. What is so special about you? Why are you so special? And they just go, oh yeah, I get it now. And so a lot of times the self-talk is a lie that you're telling yourself. It's like stories that you create inside of your mind. Okay. And so when I'm telling somebody, like I'm telling them how to change the thoughts, I tell them, look at the thought first, analyze it, break it down, see if it's a lie. And, you know, I have a very beautiful client that was told by other people things that weren't true. And she did a self-analyzation. And now she says, I'm divine, or I'm fucking beautiful. I don't remember exactly how she says it. I don't know. Anyway, it's really cool. Anyway, it's like, I'm awesome. I mean, that's kind of the feeling that she says when she says it. And it's just really powerful. I just love it. I love it because she knows who she is, and she knows she's beautiful. She knows she's divine. She knows she's awesome. And she really is. And so it's amazing to see that when somebody actually recognizes, and I'm like, look at yourself in the mirror, you know, see what you really are. And then when they discover that it's just been a lie that they've been telling themselves, and they start to realize that, you know, hey, I'm okay. And that's, I feel like if we just stop telling ourselves lies, that's a beginning.
And as you said, it's difficult for them. I had a young lady, you probably know Doc better, back at the old Center Point. We had these things. One young lady, I told her about Louise Hay's mirror work. And one whole wall there was a mirror. I said, I want you to look in that mirror, look at that beautiful young lady, and tell her, I love you, and call yourself by name. She said, I can't. I can't. And she couldn't. Okay. So sometimes then hypnosis, matrix energetics, focused mind healing, tapping and so forth, things, we do these physical things to break through. But like you said, the work of Byron Katie, the Sedona method, things where we step back and look at, does this really make sense what I'm doing? No. Well, could I change it? Yeah, I guess I could. Are you willing to? Yeah. Well, when? Okay. And as one of my teachers says, when would now be a good time? Because now is what we have. A question for everybody. This is a bonus. You didn't know I was going to ask this. Next Thursday, a week from today, next Thursday at 2:35 p.m. Central Standard Time. Do you know what time it will be?
Well, I don't even know.
And the answer is now. It'll be now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And take that understanding. Take that understanding. 3 years ago, it was now. Now it's now. And in the future, it'll be now. Where's your power? Your power is in the now.
Your power is in the now. You're right.
The power is in now. So now you can do whatever you want to do.
Right. I did a show on that. And I was actually, I was watching this show, and I'm trying to remember what show it was, but it was, anyway, the guy said, when is your future, or where is your future? I think that's what he said. Where is your future? And then the kid would say, my future is now. And he goes, what are you going to do with it? And he said, I'm going to live it. You know, it was like this whole little saying that he said. It was just really awesome. I'd have to kind of go back and reread it, but it was pretty good. I think it was Black Lightning, but TV series on Netflix called Black Lightning, but it was really good. And he was constantly saying that to these kids, and to bring them back into the present and make them realize that they were in charge of their lives. And that's the thing I feel like I have to kind of bring people back in and realize that the only time that's important, everything else is, nothing else exists. Because your past, you can't do anything about. It's done, it's over with, it's gone, it disappeared. There's nothing you can do about it. You can sit here and carry it around with you, but all you're doing is throwing junk on other people that they have nothing to do with. And it literally, they have nothing to do with it. You're just causing them pain because you're carrying this crap around. And your future doesn't even exist yet. So when you're sitting here worried about all this stuff, you know, you're just causing yourself to worry about things that doesn't even matter. I mean, it hasn't even been created, and you don't even know if it's going to happen or not.
My friend Eric says, worry's like a rocking chair. You're in motion, but you ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's and also too, let's talk about, here's something that's really important, because you brought this up earlier about healing through the meridians. But I think that's something that's really important, is that our emotional pains actually create trauma in our body.
Absolutely.
And so I know that you know a lot about that. So why don't you kind of explain to everybody about that? Because let me just kind of start off with this one
Sure.
little thing.
Sure.
You guys, I know that this sounds a little hokey for some of you guys, but I want you to really think about this. When you stress out, you feel it in right here, like right there, and like upper stomach, and you get ulcers. So it's the same thing. If you have, like if somebody breaks up with you or you go through a divorce, you feel it right here in your chest, like your chest hurts so bad, so there's real physical problems that happen based on the emotions that you're experiencing. So don't tune out on what he's about to say. I want you to really listen to it. Okay? Go ahead, George. You got the floor.
Oh, as Michelle has heard, and many of you have heard, an emotion buried alive never dies. And if we've got this emotional stuff that we're trained, a lot of the men that I treat have JWS, John Wayne syndrome. In other words, men don't cry. Why not? Well, we just don't, because we just stuff it down, suppress. And then we have all manner of ailments as we age because we've been hanging on to all this emotional stress. The solar plexus is where a lot of it's stored. If you've got, talking about chakras like you did earlier, that's stored in the solar plexus. And the point of it is, what we do is we just gently go down and find that stuff and raise it up to the surface, and not consider that it's ugly or, oh, what a terrible thing. So just, it is. Okay. So if you have a snowflake, or if you have a snowball, okay, that you saved from February in Cleveland, and you brought it down here to the Texas Gulf Coast, and you set it out on August the 15th out on the sidewalk, what happens to it? Okay. It's going to melt and it's going to evaporate. And that's exactly the thing that can happen with that emotional garbage, okay, or that stuff that you've been hanging on to, if you let it out. Well, how about this? Anybody ever been to the bathroom? Sometimes when you go to the bathroom, you're all by yourself. Oh, yeah? Yeah, really? So guess what? When you're in the bathroom, it's okay to cry. Really? Yeah. It's okay to look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. You haven't always done everything that's worked out for you. We had some bumps and bruises and stuff, but I love you. You look yourself in the eye. And if you hit some waterworks, you're doing good. And you tap, that works. It's amazing, because a physical thing, but it's hard to believe. But the point of it is, as we can take these emotions and expose them, sunlight's a great disinfectant. Take the emotions up and say, okay, here's this emotional stuff. How about if I just release it and let it go? What'll happen then? Well, it's not going to go attack somebody else. Okay. Because that guy that you're mad at that cut you off on the freeway, he ain't even thinking about you. You're carrying all this anger. Well, that guy cut me off on the freeway and I'm pissed and I'm just unhappy and I'm going to carry this anger with me because he shouldn't get away with that. And there ought to be a law. Where are the police when you need them? And besides that, pick Republicans, Democrats, whoever they are, they're evil and they're causing all this trouble. And here's another problem. And the police ought to do this, and the school system ought to do that, and the government ought to do this. And guess what? They don't give a flying banana. Okay, let it go. And you can let it go. Quick version of Sedona method. You got a pen, take your pen in your hand. You got a good hold on it. Now you're holding on to that. Imagine that's all these stuck emotions and stuff. And what can you do? What happens if you do that? Is it that simple? It is. It's not easy, but it is that simple. And learn a technique. Learn Faster EFT, learn ACT. You can learn that. Go to my website, watch a few videos. You go, oh, yeah, this really is simple. Not easy. And you may hit waterworks, but guess what? They don't have that stuff anymore.
So what do you think about stored emotions in your body?
I think you should let go of them.
No, that's not what I meant. That's not the maybe I didn't ask the question.
Okay.
So I've talked to a lot of like massage therapists, and they do things like myofascial release, and they talk about stored emotions. And so a lot of times they find that when they start like working on certain areas where the emotions are actually stored in the
Yep.
body,
Yep.
that that they'll start crying, like when, and they don't even realize that it's stored there, and they'll just start like having an emotional release. So what are your thoughts on that?
It's accurate, and it's a problem. And you can do the research that anger is stored in the liver, and this is stored here, and this is stored there. And the point of it is, whether it's anger, fear, disgust, condemnation, or sadness, victimhood, whatever the negative or unpleasant, unhappy thing is, yeah, we have it in our body someplace because we're physical beings. We have meat suits. And so if I have anger that I'm not letting go, no, I'm not showing it because I'm trained to suppress. I have John Wayne syndrome. Suppress all that anger. So I'm going to have it in my liver. I'm having liver problems. Why do you have liver problems? Well, because I've been hanging on to this anger since I was 14. Well, how about, and like you say, you have people do the lymph massage, lymph nodes, do the massage there and so forth, and that stuff cleans out. And that's why the massage therapy, drink some water, okay? Because your body's going to have released toxins, okay? And you release the toxins, you release it, and just keep doing it, because guess what? You're on planet Earth. You're going to create more toxins, or you're going to breathe them, or you're going to drink them, or you're going to eat them, or you're going to have them. And since we've been 2 and 3 years old, okay, we've been storing stuff. Quick, another story. I tell this in my classes. You ever seen old people like 80, 90 years old, and they're walking around real slow and they're hunched over? The reason is they were issued that invisible emotional backpack in kindergarten. And then all the authority figures, teachers, parents, clergy said, here, have some blame for that backpack. Have some shame for that backpack. Have a little guilt for that. Have some supposed to. Have some should have. And they carry that around. And after 30, 40, 50 years, it just wears them down. How about you do this? Just take that off. Easier said than done. I didn't say it was easy. It is simple, but it's not easy. But if you want to, if you have the desire, you can do it. Anybody can do it.
All right. Thank you, George. I really appreciate all that.
Weeks of training.
So you guys, this is George, and George does several different types of healing techniques, and he will work with you like via Skype or on the phone or FaceTime or something like that. I know he does all different types.
Even in real life.
Yeah, in real life. Yeah, well, I have a lot of people that are all over the world here. So, he will work with you in different ways. He also works at several different psychic fairs, and he sets up a booth, and he does like his energetics, his matrix energetics, and helps you with overcoming some of these things. George is probably one of the nicest, kindest people I've ever met. I've sent him people before and didn't say don't charge him or anything like that, but he just out of the kindness of his heart, he either charged him.
He's a sweetheart.
Yeah, exactly. And I've heard him say before, I never turn somebody down based on financial reasons.
I'll tell you this, my rate is $120 an hour. Never have, never will turn anybody away for lack of funds. And I too have clients in India and Australia and New Zealand and wherever else via Skype. And because, see, the thing of it is, if people, number one, people value what they pay for. So yes, I charge. Okay. Now, if you're destitute, so, well, I can't do anything. Okay, good. And I have those people come to me and they get better, and they don't go out, tell all their friends because they're embarrassed. Okay. I've tried everything. No, you've tried 3, maybe 5 things. You haven't tried everything. Okay. Because I haven't heard from you before.
Well, I like to tell people that I don't want them to let money be a reason for not doing it. And I try to keep my prices as reasonable as possible, based on rates that I think somebody can afford. And I know it's kind of pushing slightly, but the way that I work, I actually work with complete and 100% transformation. So when I'm working with somebody, I'm on a commitment of 3 to 4 months. And so I'm going to make the funds to where they can at least afford to do this for a while, you know? And I know it might be like a car payment, but it's better than a house payment, you know? I have friends that charge 5 times the amount I do.
And the point is that
yeah.
there's no amount of money that pays that you can, it's equivalency. Okay, well, I have this chronic pain for the last 20 years, and I know you're not going to get rid of that. Well, you can think that, but let me work with you for a minute. Oh, and I got Jeff, who, if he ever sees this, he'll say, yeah, saw the guy for 20 minutes. Didn't instantly. And then he's a big fan because he said, okay, it's been 2 years. The pain never came back. Okay. You can't put a price on that.
You know, I'm going to tell you something. I really think a lot of it's just mind over matter, but I'll tell you a funny story. My daughter and I had dinner last night, and we were having a conversation about health. And she says, Mom, she goes, can I ask you a personal question? You know, because I haven't been to the doctor in like, I don't know, 20 years. And she said, can I ask you a personal question? And I said, yeah. And she goes, is the reason that you won't go to a doctor because you're afraid they're going to tell you something and then you'll believe it and then start physically acting it out? And I busted out laughing and I said, exactly. I'm afraid that if somebody says you have cancer, then suddenly subconsciously I'm going to start acting like, I mean, I'm like totally healthy right now. I'm bouncing around. I do all this stuff and I don't act like there's anything wrong with me. But the second somebody tells me I have cancer, I'm going to be like, oh God, you know, and I'll be finding excuses for reasons to behave a certain way. So, and she's like shook her head and she says, I knew it. I knew that that's the reason. And I said, Amanda, I said, as long as I don't know, it's like the less that I know, the better. But as long as I don't know, as long as somebody doesn't tell me something, then I will be healthy and I will live a very, very healthy life. And I'll be, you know, completely like able to do everything. I mean, I work out, I go to the gym, I eat really healthy. You know, I live a full and active life. I'm extremely busy. I've got a lot of things going on at one time. I don't let anything get in the way of accomplishing what I need to accomplish. And I push through anything that happens to me health-wise. And I actually had something happen to me not too long ago where, and this is an example of, you know, healing it through your mind, because I got into a car accident and I didn't have any medical insurance. And so I decided that I saw this advertisement on TV and I decided to call this attorney because they were saying, oh, you don't have medical insurance, they won't pay for your, you know, because I told the insurance company I have some issues here and they said, well, you know, sorry, blah, blah. So I called this attorney and they said, okay, we'll take care of all your medical stuff. Now I did say I hadn't been to a doctor in 20 years, but this particular one I don't really count because it's something completely different. So I went in and they did an MRI and they said that in my neck I had like 5 or 6 herniated discs and I had a torn stuff on my shoulder, like 5 tears, and I got to a point where I couldn't raise my arm any higher than about, I don't know, it was about 25 degrees. It was like that. And I mean, it literally was about like that. And so they sent me to physical therapy. They sent me to a couple of different surgeons. The surgeon wanted to operate on my neck, and the other surgeon said I had to have an operation on my shoulder. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to have surgery. There's just no way. And so basically, and the reason I decided that was because for a lot of reasons, but one was the doctor told me that it would take me a year of rehabilitation after the surgery for my shoulder to be normal again. And I was like, well, then why can't I just do the rehabilitation right now and do a year of that and see what happens? I called a friend of mine who was a physical therapist, talked to him about it. And basically I just decided that I was just going to get in there and I was going to, you know, bust some ass. At that point, I made a decision that I was going to heal myself. And that's what I decided. I said, I'm going to heal myself. And so now I'm at about 90%. I mean, I'm like that. And it's been a little over a year. Yeah. And yeah, it's like I can almost, my arm can almost get the same as my left arm. There's a slight bit, about that much of a difference, but I've done this through healing myself, and I'll spend time like through meditation as well. And I kind of imagine going into the cells of my body and then healing a lot faster. And I did this through a lot of like stretching and concentration and focus and talking to my body and telling it to heal. As opposed to when I thought I was going to have surgery, when they were telling me that there was impossible for anything for me to get out of this, that I had to have surgery. That was the only option, blah, blah, blah. It was like I deteriorated. I got worse. I mean, mentally, it was like I went from 50% to 20%. And then the second I made that decision that I was going to heal myself, I went from 20% to 90%. And I mean, it's just a huge difference. It was all like mind over matter and me just focusing on healing myself. So anyways, it's kind of a little story that
we are very powerful beings. We don't realize how powerful we are. Commend everybody to Joe Dispenza's book, You Are the Placebo, where he tells a story about how he was just really messed up. And he did what Harold McCoy taught me, focused mind healing. You can Google the Ozark Research Institute and learn about that. But that's what you've been doing. That's what you've been doing. And we are powerful beings. And so, well, I don't want to go to the doctor because I remember when I was in the hospital, it was all this bad stuff and so on and so on. Okay, fine. That was then. And is it happening now? No. Okay. Does it have to happen now? No. Where's your power? Now. Okay. Remember something happy. Remember feeling good. Oh, okay. I can do that. Yeah, you can do that. Because that's where our power is. And that's what we can do. And like I said, Nevellize it. Imagine yourself being surrounded by the conditions you want to produce. But I don't feel good right now. And that's when it's hard to do. If you're in pain, it's not easy to just, well, I'll just mentally imagine that I feel great. No, it's not easy to do. That's why we have painkillers. That's why I'm not against allopathic medicine. The point is, though, our minds are powerful. We are powerful beings. And our words are really, really powerful. So watch what you say.
I actually had, I get back pain periodically, and I've actually like laid on my bed and focused on imagining like a light beaming into that, focused right into that pain and focused on it and saying that, telling myself that the light is healing it and it's dissolving the pain. And it was like, suddenly the pain just like started going away. I mean, it was really bizarre. Like
you had hypnosis training and you know how the mind works.
Yeah, that's true. But I do teach people how to do this. And that's one of the things that I do. I mean, if they have issues, with their body, then we work on that. But most of the stuff that I do is problems with mind. And the thing is that regardless if it's your physical body, if it's your mind or whatever, everything can be healed. We have this thing called cellular regeneration, and even the mind can regenerate. So all those neural pathways that are sparking and they're going in a certain direction, they can all be healed. They can actually be rerouted. They can change,
As far as we know, everybody's going to have to leave the body at some point. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's just the way things are on planet Earth. Okay. On your way there, you can be sick if you want to. And we do that. We get sick. And you've seen this, and I've seen this. People get sick because they want attention. Because when we were small, we got sick because then our mom or dad paid attention to us. So we were sick. So we get to be 30, 40, 50 years old, and we go, oh, I know, I'll get sick. Not consciously. It's not a conscious decision, but we do it, and then we get attention. We get quick story, and I know we're after 8 o'clock. Had a client, this is years and years ago, okay? Yeah, They got better, they feel better. Oh, I feel so much lighter, so forth and so on. I know you got this little thing. Well, that's an implant because I'm getting chemo because I've got cancer. I went, well, would you like to not have cancer? Or words to that effect. She didn't jump at the chance. Secondary gain, okay? She was estranged from her husband and her ex-husband and her daughter. They weren't in her life. Now that she had the cancer, her daughter had brought her to see me. the people that weren't in her life were coming into her life. She was getting attention now. So she didn't want to risk giving that up. Okay. We're complicated critters. We are. Okay.
So on that note, listen, George, I really want to thank you for coming on and talking to us about.
I've had fun.
Yeah. Alternative ways of healing. You guys, George does a lot of different things and he uses a lot of different methods and he's super talented.
Because everybody's different.
And he is a super kind individual. Somebody that has a lot of compassion and a lot of love and is very willing to help.
Do you know why? Do you know why?
Why you're compassionate and loving and willing to help? Because you're a light worker.
Because love works. Hatred doesn't. Vitriol doesn't. Negative stuff. It might give you a short-term ego boost to juice, but love works. Read Hawkins, okay? It works. His thing is, you want to become enlightened? Real simple. Just be kind to everyone, everywhere, every time, in every circumstance.
Oh my God, that's so true. You know what? I've been doing this whole 30 days to spiritual bliss, which basically it's 30 days to enlightenment. But I mean, it's like, it always comes back to the same thing. It's like, love yourself, love others, forgive everybody, be kind, I mean, that's the bottom line.
And don't get so caught up that you forget that love yourself stuff, because that's important.
Absolutely. It's so important. And guys, if you could just love yourself, so much of your pain would go away, all your suffering would go away, and you could experience life from a whole different perspective. So anyways, on that note, I am going to put my glasses back on, my hat back on, and this is how you need to live.
Best I could do in short notice.
This is how you need to live, you guys. That means smile, laugh, have a good time. Oh, yeah, there you go. Awesome. This is the way. You guys got to laugh, smile, laugh, smile. You know how to tell everybody all the time? You know how you cure everything? You laugh. Laughter
doeth good like a medicine.
And if you, and don't, look at me, I'm acting totally silly, but hey, I actually got these glasses for my birthday from my daughter, and I picked them out and asked and sent them the link and told her I wanted them. And so anyway, she came over one day and we were laying out at the pool, and she said, and I put my glasses on, and Shane came out there. That's my husband. He came out and he saw me because he had just gotten home, and he saw me with the glass. He goes, "Oh, you got some crazy glasses." And I was like, "Yeah, but I wear them so well." And he started laughing. He goes, "Yes, you do, baby." and it was awesome. It was like, he's like, "Yes, you do." And I just felt good, I was just laying out there, my hat, my glasses, blinking it all out, I told my mom that the older I got, the blingier I was going to get, because as I get older, that just gives me permission to get crazy. So the crazy is just going to keep on coming out. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? If we could just do this when we're young and stop being so embarrassed, because everybody gets so too embarrassed. It's like, so I'm going to just give you permission right now. Just be silly. Laugh. Have a good time. You guys, this is Michelle and George, and we love you guys. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye-bye.